Welcome everyone to Haven of Horror. As always, I am Subject, and I have Robert, Scotty, Wyatt.
Oh no, I don't want to be Scotty
Why not?
because
Is it
Scotty
because
is the
Scotty
worst.
doesn't know?
That's true. Scotty doesn't know. He
Uh,
doesn't know what's coming.
so as you may have guessed from the thumbnail or the video title, or just if you were here the last time we did one of these, we are doing Evil Dead and
The Evil
Evil
Dead.
Dead. Yes, the Evil Dead and just Evil Dead. Thank God they separated them. This is the Suicide
It's
Squad all over again.
or I was gonna say it's the reverse Predator, where you have Predator and then you have the Predator.
Yeah.
Completely different movies.
All right. So we are watching. If anybody doesn't know, this one first. Robert, I just have the simple, basic ass 4K that they put out. Looks like
And
you
there's
got
no.
a DVD.
I've got the
Which
Blu-ray, the special edition Blu-ray. I'll
one?
get into it during the commentary. Does yours have? Does your copy have like a commentary or any special features?
A commentary with Raimi,
Okay.
Tapper, and Bruce Campbell.
Okay, it's probably the same one that's on my disc, but
But that is it.
I don't know why they can't just put old special features on new releases. It's so annoying.
What are we drinking tonight, Robert?
Water.
Boo.
I need to get up early tomorrow. I can't
Boo.
experiment today.
No. Wait. That's all right. We're just gonna jump in. Get your time. Get it to all past all the menus. Two timestamps here if you would like to watch The Evil Dead with us. Obviously, we cannot show it on the channel. Copyright. In 3, 2, 1, go.
So right off the bat, which aspect ratio are you watching this in? Does your 4K have two options, or is it just one?
It is 4:3 so far.
Oh, cool. That's what I'm watching because this is, I believe, actually the full picture. This is not the cropped down widescreen version that was predominantly on DVD and previous home media releases. I don't think it was until Blu-ray when we actually got the full 4:3.
I feel like that was the trend. Blu-ray started to kind of fix it. Now with 4K, it's just no. We're going back to the original
Mhm. And then,
aspect
well,
ratio.
the the late '90s, early 2000s is kind of the peak era of I don't want to see black bars on the screen. I want to just see the movie. It's like no. This is the whole picture. You're getting everything. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean I don't love it, but it's whatever.
Yeah, I kind of it adds to the atmosphere for me. It's got that grungy, old filmic look to it, which is funny because you'd assume, oh, this is probably what it looked like on VHS, on TVs 4:3. But to my understanding, it's like no. That was the widescreen, then cropped down to square for TV and VHS. So I believe what you were looking at back in the day on VHS was the cropped version of the cropped version,
Yikes.
to my understanding. Ah, home media's come a long way.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm glad you mentioned that because this is one of those movies where it's like, how much can you really like improve the picture quality of this?
Right. A 16 millimeter film. But right off the bat, we got immediate iconic POV demon shots, Sam Raimi's crazy camera work, and of course the classic Sam Raimi's car that's in all of his movies that Bruce Campbell hates with a burning passion and wants to destroy. But Raimi will never let him.
The Delta.
And there's Raimi and Rob Tappert waving. So I'm sure we've talked about this before, but for the sake of this commentary, when do you see this one? Is this, and when in the Evil Dead franchise do you watch this one? How old are you? All that stuff.
if I saw this one, if I didn't see this one last, I saw it second last. Because I start with two. Maybe I did see this one second. Would have been late teens, and I hated it.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I was like, it's just it's like Evil Dead 2, but not as good. Um, that's the sign I've grown up. I love this movie now.
Cool. Yeah, you're probably not alone on that because for many years, even though this always had a good reputation, it did get a little eclipsed by that second one for a bit of like, oh, you can just skip the first one, just watch Evil Dead 2, which for many people is the case and it's totally fine. Like there are lots of people who like Evil Dead 2 that don't really care or wouldn't care about this movie, but I like that it's been kind of reevaluated and reclaimed as like, oh no, this is still a great film in its own right, even
Mhm.
divorced from what comes later. Like it's still worth checking out
Well, and I mean, like, I love this movie, but I would still say start with two. That's an
and
easier
then go
film to
back.
get
Yeah.
into than go backwards.
Mhm.
Because this feels so disconnected from the rest of the franchise.
Yeah, for
Franchise.
it feels like a decade of projects in the making to get to Evil Dead 2, to get to the masterpiece. Because before this, Raimi and Campbell make their Within the Woods short film. Like that's kind of where this starts as just a short film to show to potential investors to try to test. I think it was shot on 8 millimeter
Mhm.
and it's never had an official release. I think it was on YouTube at one point, might still be, but in just horrible grainy quality. I just couldn't watch. I was like, this is unwatchable. I can't. So I've never seen Within the Woods in its
I would
like eight
love
minute
to.
entirety. But yeah, it's just a curious like little piece of
I
history
do
attached
know
to this.
the only thing I know about that is that Bruce Campbell is not the survivor.
Correct. That starts with spoiler alert for Within the Woods for anyone who cares. Yeah, he is the possessed demon at the end, and like his girlfriend or whoever is the final girl. So it follows a much more typical horror movie structure at that time. And then when they get to making this movie, they kind of subvert that. And then when you get to Evil Dead 2, they kind of have their cake and eat it too, where it's like, yeah, Ash is still a hero, but we're still gonna do the evil possessed Ash stuff. You get both.
And I just love Bruce Campbell's bowl cut in this.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna say you love his unibrow.
Well, I mean that too. I'm fine with him getting rid of the bowl cut. He should have kept the unibrow in Evil Dead too.
For sure.
Is Scotty the like biggest dick in all of cinematic history?
I mean, he's no Trent,
That's true.
but I mean, who
God,
is?
imagine them in a movie together.
I wish.
And it's cool now that I'm older going back because the stuff that they use for props into are here already, like the deer
Hmm.
head. Uh, except the deer head looks like it was made for $1 this time.
Oh my God, he's in the work shed.
Orc shed.
Now, do you think? Because I'm in two minds about this. Do you think you have to kind of know the behind the scenes stuff that this is really low budget movie and all the problems they had and what the careers they eventually had? Do you think you need to know all that stuff to appreciate this movie, or do you think that this just holds up as a piece of entertainment? Because I'm kind of of two minds about it.
I think it's this movie is the biggest test of like, are you a horror fan or are you a movie fan? This is a horror movie enthusiast's film. This is not
Mhm.
the I want high budget Marvel like the Marvel movie or the blockbuster like a Nolan movie. I don't like that. the people that don't like independent films or smaller filmmakers. Um,
For sure.
I think you should go into it blind, just because that is a bit, like I said, a big litmus test of who you are as a film watcher. Um, but pretty personally, like I think it holds up.
I think so too. There are obviously plenty of elements in it that don't. Some of the acting's real hit or miss. But the more I watch this movie, just the more I appreciate of. Oh no, there is already so much impressive camera work and shots and staging. Even though this was a complete nightmare to film and took forever, but like just that shot of Cheryl sitting with like the clock hand in front of the camera, like somebody had to set that up and just do that. And because we've seen even now so many, when you typically think of cheap, low budget movies, you think just really basic two-person shots or shot reverse shot, and then it's the scary scene. Like this is still, for all its faults and clunkiness, like several steps ahead of what you think of your typical low budget first time film horror movies. You know what I mean? Like it's still
Um,
surprisingly effective.
and I will add, you also need to be just willing to meet a film on its own terms.
Mhm.
Because this film is upright. This film is forthright saying, "We're just here to shock you."
Yes, this is going for an experience. This is like I describe this as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre experience with a little like Exorcist thrown in,
Oh my god, she
or and
just runs.
Night of the Living Dead. That's the other one.
So who's in
so
the
I don't.
cellar?
That is a good question. This food looks disgusting, and I don't think I'd enjoy my stay here. This doesn't look like a fun hangout weekend with your friends. I will admit.
Yeah. What are they eating?
I don't know.
I've never thought
Michigan
about
food.
it.
And right off the bat, we get Ash's iconic blue shirt that will stick for the rest of this franchise.
Yeah, no, word wise, he's figured out from the beginning. Party down.
That was Scotty. Then like this is that clunky dialogue. Like it's probably an animal. An animal? That's the stupidest thing I ever heard of.
I
Why?
mean, that is beautiful. The Evil Dead
It's so
musical makes
awful.
a whole song out of
Oh, that's great. So need to figure out how to watch that or just listen to that at some point.
that. An animal.
I think of this cast, Scotty's probably the worst actor, but again, it's part of
Oh,
the charm.
I don't. I think it's Bruce Campbell.
Oh, okay. I think he's bad in a different way.
But Bruce Campbell's bad acting, even when he's bad, it's like great because
It's still
he has
great.
the best line in the movie. Why are you torturing me like this? Why?
Why? And of course, this movie's kind of legendary for just how difficult this production was. There were so many injuries, so many crewmen just left during it. It took forever. And like the actor who played Scotty, I think he's one who came back for pickups later. And his hair's way shorter, and it's really noticeable. Like watch Scotty's hair, and you'll figure out like, oh, this was like earlier in the shoot, or this was later in the shoot. And the film grain changes slightly. It doesn't match at all. And I feel like, though, I just said I think Scotty's the worst actor. I think the weakest character is probably Scotty's girlfriend. She's the one I always forget about. She's just there. Even Linda
Yeah,
doesn't get to do a whole lot. We just remember Linda because she's the one who stays with the franchise in some capacity.
well, but Scotty's girlfriend is the one that chews her arm off.
That's true. That's a good scene. I mean, it's probably Ted Raimi in some of those scenes or whoever.
Probably.
But yeah, this is the third Evil Dead movie I see. I see. I'm introduced to and see two in Army of Darkness, basically back to back, like within the same like couple of weeks. And then like months later, this one's on Netflix, and I'm like, oh, I should watch this. And I liked it, but not as much as the other two. But also around that time was when the remake was coming out, and I thought the trailer looked awesome, and I was really hyped for it. We'll obviously talk more about that later, but like I said, my appreciation for this one has just kind of grown with each viewing of it. I haven't rewatched this nearly as much as Two in Army of Darkness, but I do like it. I do think it holds up.
It's a pretty damn good motion picture.
It is.
Power of cinema, baby.
How dare you call Bruce Campbell bad? You can't feel the tension on his face. Scotty, you belong in an Until Dawn game. And there's the Hills Have Eyes poster Easter egg. I don't know why Professor Nobi has a Hills Have Eyes poster, but it's fine.
Hey, he was a big fan.
It,
Okay?
sure, he
That's
can like weird
oh,
movies like that.
we gotta add that to our list.
Oh, that's true. There's a lot. Um, the Crazies was another one I thought of earlier, and I've never
Ooh,
seen either
yeah.
version.
I have seen both.
And
Bro, let
there's
me just tell
the
you, when you tell me things like, "Oh, I watched the original," like as the remake was coming out, it just makes me feel old.
and now the remake's old.
11 years.
Hmm. I always forget the dagger goes all the way back to this first movie because they don't use it a lot, except for
No,
like
it's
one
just kind of
scene.
there.
I always think of that as more of an Evil Dead 2 thing, but nope. Set up here, and there's our first version of the Necronomicon. It's a lot smaller than how it is in the rest of the franchise. It looks very shitty, but that adds to the charm. And you got Tom Sullivan's art is great.
Mhm.
Except I don't know why there's a picture of the book in the book. Seems redundant.
Don't read from the book,
They're not gonna read it. They're gonna listen to a tape recorder.
which is consistent in both movies.
That is true. The one thing, we talked about the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise recently. That's always referred to, or New Line Cinema is always referred to as the house that Freddy built because that was their first like huge blockbuster success. I always forget that they distributed this movie. They didn't
Mhm.
produce it, but they did distribute it and ended up owning the rights to it for a while, which is why they couldn't use footage from it in their recap on Evil Dead 2, and basically made that like half a remake of this. But this was a New Line Cinema released picture.
But the most important thing is what saved this movie was Stephen King.
That's true. Yeah, because the original title of this movie was Book of the Dead, and one of the producers was like, teenagers don't like to read books. Call it Evil Dead, something like that. And I think they made the right call. Like, it's a better title. But yeah,
Yeah, it
this
is.
first they got their first like real premiere in Michigan at the Redford Theater, I think, and that was in 1981. And then Irvin Shapiro is the big producer that like took notice of it and helped it get the release in the Cannes Film Festival in 1982. And I think that's when Stephen King sees it and raves about it and writes about it in like a magazine or something, to the point that his quote ends up on the poster when the movie's finally released, like widely in 1983. Like this movie took forever to come out,
Yeah.
but in the long run, it was worth it and was not a smash hit. Like this was not by any means a big hit in '83, but like it was still profitable,
Mhm.
certainly.
Shut it off!
Shut it off.
Teenagers when they went to see this movie. So I will say though, I mean, I don't know how accurate Wikipedia is, but it has it did make about 2 million at the time, which was kind of a huge deal.
Yeah, still way bigger than what their budget was. But and back to what you were talking about earlier about like how this film is an experience. This is made for horror fans. It They had difficulty kind of shopping the script around early because people would say like, you can't have 10 minutes of setup and then a nonstop action. That's not a movie. That's not how you write stories. And then
It's astounded this movie has a script.
it's like, yeah, they become Deadite and kill, rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
And I think it was in that initial premiere in Michigan where like one of Raimi's professors, I don't think he went to film school, but he took film classes, and one of his professors saw it and was incredibly disappointed in Raimi and was like, the can't it's nonstop with the camera. It gave me a headache. You can't. It was driving me crazy. You can't make a movie like that. And he said that was like his first really disheartening review.
Ugh.
But I believe at the same premiere, after it, because like the premiere, like it did surprisingly well for like this one showing thing in their hometown, and like it was a packed theater, and of course people had no idea what the movie was. There was no marketing. It was just like a one showing thing, and they did fill a house, and all sorts of random people saw it. And after the movie, there was this like little very old lady like asking around like for who the filmmakers were, and looking for Bruce, Rob, and Sam, and they're like, "Oh God, we're gonna get chewed out by this old woman." And then she walked up to them and said something like, "I had a horrible day, and the movie you kids made was a ball. I had a great time." So they said that was a highlight of the night because she loved it. Whoever this old lady was.
That's fantastic. Do you think Bruce Campbell knew that he'd be doing this role until he's 90?
It's sad but true.
No, you should look at this film like objectively. This isn't a movie that becomes a cultural phenomenon. This is a movie that like weirdos on the internet love, and
Oh, for sure.
I'm one of those
It's
weirdos on the internet.
Yeah, like you think at best this would have a cult following like a movie like Pieces, right?
Yeah.
Not a multi-million-dollar franchise. Like, imagine if Pieces became a multi-million-dollar franchise.
Hollywood would be better off.
I
And
agree.
is this the only bit of nudity we get in any of these movies? It's not
Yep. I mean,
Deadites.
although you do ironically see some side boob in Army of Darkness in that completely pointless scene with like the slave girls the skeletons have that you never see again. I it's fine. But no, I mean, but you do get more nudity in this scene coming up, which is by far the most shocking, infamous scene in the movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm.
And it's something like I've said before. I'm kind of two minds about it. Like it's the one thing Raimi kind of regrets and thought maybe he went too far. You know, fair enough. You're just he's a young guy. He's trying to shock the audience. You know, I get it, and he'd never like really go there again in this franchise, which is fine. But I'm also glad it's never been like cut out or censored or whatever. It's like
It's
just leave
there.
the
It
movie
should
as
stay
is.
there, but I'm glad it wasn't a reoccurring thing.
Right. And I will say, speaking of acting, I do think objectively, Cheryl is the best actor in this movie. I actually think she's pretty good, and to do a lot of the most difficult stuff. She's tormented heavily throughout this thing.
He's good. Yeah,
I'm saying in
probably.
relation to the
She's
other actors.
probably. No, no. I just think that. Yeah, I think you're right. Because really, the only one that's I think I find wonky is the shut it off.
Oh yeah, totally. And like I said, I love the atmosphere. I love the fog. I love how the POV camera is like literally the cheapest effect ever for your big monster, and then it becomes the staple of the franchise.
Franchise.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, it's awesome.
join us.
Maybe next week.
Okay. But there's still a lot of very simple, very effective little camera tricks. Just a lot of reverse photography. But I will say, this is the scene in the movie where you're either in or out. This is when half the people watching shut it off and
Mhm.
don't keep going. But if you can get through this scene, you're fine for the rest of the picture.
Yeah.
And I've never heard Raimi talk about this, but in terms of Deadites, like as monsters, I've always seen him as, or this movie as like, oh, this is like Night of the Living Dead meets The Exorcist, or it's like the Exorcist demon possessed trope just taken to an 11.
Uh,
They kind of stand out as movie monsters to me.
yeah. Teddy and I were talking about this in the chat. I think the other night. I fundamentally don't see this as a zombie film like at all. It has maybe the same trope of oh, a bunch of creatures attacking people in a house. Um, but I'm very old school Romero with my zombies. There are rules. They have to be
Hmm.
slow. They have to be dead first, and they have to eat human flesh or brains. Snyder's Dawn of the Dead is kind of in that weird area where it hits 3 out of 4 of them. But like, I don't consider 28 Days Later a zombie film. They're not dead. They're not slow, and they don't eat flesh. Uh, and neither do these deadites.
That's fair. And yeah, to me, they are deadites. They're their own thing. I've never seen them as zombies, but I'm just sure that movies like Night of the Living Dead were an influence.
And Resident Evil 4 even has its own Night of the Living Dead sequence where you're stuck in a cabin and have to fight off the Ganados.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's fucking difficult.
And this is one of those sequences where if you work for citizens, it's a ding because it's like she just walked 5 feet out of the cabin and now why is she like a mile away running through the woods? And it's like it's because the woods are alive, like it's surreal. It doesn't make sense. It's like a dream. It's part of the terror and the paranoia and the atmosphere. Oh no, okay. I guess it's a CinemaSins plot
No,
hole.
these are the kind of movies we used to be able to make before CinemaSins turned everyone into every little error is a problem with the film.
Yep,
It's not a problem with the film. You're just dumb.
I agree. This is one of the most intense shots for me just because I'm expecting her to grab a nail or something and cut her hand. And I'm only saying that because many people were cut on nails working on this movie.
It seems real impractical. Like, why would you put the key up there and then stick it behind the?
Let me in.
Why open the damn door?
But if I am going to gripe about something and why I think Scotty's girlfriend is the weakest character, pop quiz. What is her name?
Really?
Her name's Shelly. Why would you name two of your three female characters Cheryl and Shelly? Which is why we always get confused. Like, wait, what was Ash's sister name? Was it Cheryl or Shelly? Because why would you do that?
So just on a whim, I finally watched the Half in the Bag on Deadpool and Wolverine. They
Oh,
loved it.
they really enjoyed it. Yeah, that's a fun episode.
Shocked. It was a good one.
Yeah, it's an entertaining movie. Earlier today, I was watching their new horror movie ranking for the year, but
Same.
I haven't finished it yet.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that's why I messaged you. I was like, oh, he loved.
I saw the TV glow. That's where I cut it off. He was just about to talk about that, which I haven't seen yet.
Oh, you should.
Do you think that's making your top five, or is it getting bumped out?
It's gonna be an honorable mention, unfortunately. Because I really liked the experience of watching that. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again.
and then you get into that tricky thing with movies you buy where it's like, okay, this is a movie I'd watch like one more time. Do I need a do I need to own it? Do I need to own a movie I might watch like twice? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking of movies that I might only watch once, I finally watched my copy of Deadpool and Wolverine. Not only does it still look great, I still love the parts of it that I love and don't really care for the parts that I don't care about. That first
it,
act is a drag
it takes a minute to get going. Which version did you get? Like, what did it? You got the steelbook, right? But
with
what
Wolverine
cover
in
did you
it.
get? Okay, so you got the best one.
I got the only one I could.
I think
Fuck
you were
the
lucky
Deadpool.
because
I don't want the Deadpool one.
I,
Fuck that. Fuck Deadpool. I only bought
I,
that movie because of Wolverine.
I somebody turn off the fog machines.
I love fog machines. Jason Lives uses them in stats, and it's amazing.
Hmm. But we need to bring him back. We use digital fog now, and it sucks. Not
Yeah.
to name any movie specifically. Not to name any Stephen King remake that came out within the last 6 months of this year with
Uh,
horrible, ugly digital fake fog.
the best thing about Deadpool and Wolverine is it made me kind of love Bye 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 again. Because like I just hear that song
Yeah,
and I
me
just
too.
think of that.
It's one of those songs that was popular for a minute, and then everybody decided, no, this sucks, and you shouldn't like it, and it went away for like 20 years, and it came back.
That was the second CD I ever bought.
Wow, nice.
First one was a shitty like Flintstones CD when I was like 5.
That's funny. Queen of Spades, Four of Hearts. This seems really effective.
You are slightly ahead of me. Oh wait,
I've
no, maybe
noticed that.
yeah,
I think we're off by like a couple seconds.
yeah. She just gets the. Oh, here we go. The just and the timing for all this must have been insane.
Oh yeah. Wait a minute. Why is she floating in front of that window? Is she on a harness or something? And this is for me by far the most effective visual effect in the movie. This makes me cringe so hard. It's so painful to look at. I hate it,
No, it's
but it's great. We're at the pencil scene. Ugh, brutal. Um, it's like that's a really effective prosthetic, and the fact that it's a pencil makes it worse because you're just imagining it like breaking, getting shoved in there. Like, ugh, I hate it. That Bruce gets thrown into a bookshelf.
oh god, there's the ankle, and they the way they frame like the face reaction.
It's so good. Here we're getting our first taste of Bruce Campbell torture. which is Sam Raimi's favorite trope.
And it's always funny.
It's always funny. But Scotty kicked Cheryl in the face, which is not funny because Scotty
That
hates
was
women.
yeah, but I mean that's kind of funny.
I thought it was funny when Cheryl turned into a dummy head.
No, this I love this effect, Prince. It's clearly a dummy.
It's so bad.
Oh, 4K has not helped in that regard.
This is kind of that go-to movie of when people say, "Oh, this was actually scarier and more effective on VHS in shitty
That's
quality." Like I
probably
believe
true.
them.
Halloween has that kind of a little bit too. There's a really unfortunate
Mhm.
shot where he has like his mask up and you're supposed to pull it down. I don't think on VHS you could see his face, but in like 4K you can just see his face.
And these Cheryl POV shots are really cool. Like this is some of the creepiest stuff in the movie.
Yes. Her eyes. What happened to her eyes?
You've seen Drag Me to Hell, right?
Yeah, I actually
That's a
finally showed that to my friend
ah,
recently.
because like that's not an Evil Dead movie, but there's a lot of Evil Dead elements in it. I think it's a fun time.
It's pretty good. It has that unfortunate like CGI problem.
The CGI is very dated.
Her eyes.
But when they were making this movie, they all just lived out here, and
Mhm.
it was so freezing cold, and everything went wrong. They had some equipment that was just stolen by people one
Oh,
night, so then
oh
they had to take
yeah.
shifts.
I think he talks about that in his biography.
Shins could kill. Yeah, probably. I still need to read it.
Like, stop chatting on Discord and watch the movie. I've been chatting watching the movie.
And this is kind of a big shot when the camera goes through the window to where the demon possesses Shelly there, which would then be that type of shot would be repurposed as Linda becoming possessed in both Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness.
Mhm.
So I always associate like that shot more with Linda, and then you go back to this one, it's like, oh right, Linda's possessed a completely different way in this one than she is in the rest of the franchise.
Also, great haircut. Thank you, Kyle. Man, are you Dracula movies with me while watching Evil Dead? I'm a multitasker. I had to confess that I unfortunately, at least on my last viewing, did not like Bram Stoker's Dracula.
It's a great movie. She's gone, Scotty.
Hey, Scotty doesn't know.
He doesn't.
I like that movie way more than I thought I would. It's not my kind of thing.
Yeah, I might check it out at some point. It could be a fun random watch party with you.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I need to watch that one in advance to take notes.
I also just love how shitty this cabin looks.
Oh, it looks horrible. This doesn't look like a good time.
God, he doesn't know. Hey, Kyle knows what I wrote. Sorry. Kyle gets it.
Oh my god. Shelly made Scotty's hair shorter.
Very good. That
And like I
bathtub
said,
is
just
beautiful. Oh my god, no. Now I see it. That's amazing.
and like I said, some of these shots are so cool. We're just putting the camera. I don't even know how they put the camera in so many weird different angles in this cabin. And some of my favorite
This is
imagery in the
damn
movie.
impressive for this kind of budget.
Mm. And I think one of my favorite shots is Cheryl like under the floorboards just banging on the thing. Like it's so scary, visceral. The makeup's pretty
You
good.
like you like to watch that? You like to watch Cheryl bang? What?
I said what I said. And Bruce Campbell's under furniture again. That happens to him a lot.
Come on, man. Oof.
Oh my god. And that's part of the it's really just funny thinking about what Ash becomes later in this franchise, particularly with Evil Dead 2. When you go back to this one, it's even as far as just
He
final
can't
boys
even
go,
beat a bookshelf.
as far as like final boys go in horror, like he's really not great. He doesn't get to do much. He just gets beat up the whole movie and looks scared.
What? This one more than the others follows that slasher formula of like we kind of have to take out the final boy or girl till the end, and then they get a really
Mhm.
cool third act where they're on their own.
We do, and the climax of this movie is great.
The
It's
sound
so
design on this is
oh, the sound design is so good.
on the scene where she chews her own arm off. I heard a lot of Cheryl banging. Yeah, Robert really likes to watch Cheryl bang.
Oh my god. When Annie gets killed in the second one with the knife in her back with the possessed hand on it. Do you think that's a callback to this?
You know, I never thought
It's
about
it's a
that,
very
but it
similar
could
shot.
be. I think it might be because it even has the decapitated hand.
That's such a specific detail.
Yeah.
That's a weird coincidence.
Kyle, I like in the Ash vs. Evil Dead or whatever the show's called. It leads in him just kind of being a loser, but somehow a hero. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
No,
both.
that's why he's cool.
He's an everyman.
It says the movie is on AMC Plus, but that is a freaking lie.
No, it's not on
No.
Shutter. Oh, that blows.
The Evil Dead.
Scotty, why is your hair longer?
It's great. This is great. This is great.
It's great. It's great. It's good. Hit
Bruce
or
Campbell needs
Ash.
to dance like what's his name in Part 4.
Crispin Glover. I
Yeah.
agree with that. I love how on our thumbnail and in some of the advertising after the fact, one of the iconic VHS covers from this is Bruce Campbell with the axe on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And then we get this scene, and he's just standing there holding it, and it's like, do something. And then Scotty just grabs it and starts hacking her up. It's like, oh, uh, come on, Ash, gotta do something.
Yeah, that's weird. It's not showing for me either.
Weird.
Weird, weird.
This is one of the most coming up difficult shots for them to do. That was a horrible pain because they had like three people under these floorboards to play like the different parts of her uh, body, and it just took them forever. It was such a pain. It was so miserable to shoot.
Yeah, it looks like it's not available through Amazon AMC Plus. You have to have like AMC Plus itself.
Oh, that's dumb.
So
Like
weird.
I said, the first time I watched this movie was on Netflix, but
Time for
nothing's on
midnight
Netflix
DVD
anymore.
yet again streaming lets me down horror movie wise. That is why I have this on disc and
Yep.
digital. And I'm not even an anti-streaming. It's just it's a backup plan.
Right. Well, we talk about physical media a lot on this channel, but I like both. I like owning a physical copy, but if it has a free digital copy, then I'll load it onto my account and have it there because it's always nice to have that backup. Like if you're traveling or something, then you just have access to your stuff digitally.
Oh,
It's a good backup, but I would never just exclusively own everything digitally.
you were asking earlier about it, and because I don't remember where the steelbook is right now, so I actually have it in here. Here is the Deadpool
Oh,
Wolverine disc.
that's funny.
I don't remember where I put the steelbook, Sky. I can't push it any faster.
Given how she's got, Captain.
I know it's already English, but like movies should be required to have a Scottish dub, just because that sounds hysterical. He just wanted to show off his Deadpool steelbook. Uh,
You better not lose that. It cost you $70.
no, it's probably my room's a mess because I got my PS5 Pro today and I suck at that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I gotta clean it.
And another thing I wanted to mention
Dick.
earlier. Oh, Scotty. This movie, like I said, it did okay here. Like I said, it turned a profit, because the movie was so cheap, but it did really well overseas. That's where they got most of their money.
Mhm.
This did great internationally, including Europe, which is ironic because then just a couple years later, when this comes to home video, it ends up getting banned in England and labeled a video nasty,
Yep.
and wasn't allowed to be seen or owned or viewed for many years after because the movie's evil.
No, I love the video nasties. Have you ever seen that? Have you seen that movie Censor?
Yeah,
That's
it's all
that's a
about that.
really cool movie all about that.
Such a weird point in history. It's just home media, and it's just so funny. Like this movie, it's a smash hit and does well,
So
and then a couple years later, it's banned. You can't watch it.
so because we talked about this a little bit earlier, her turning the affection there, that is a lot like the shot of Ash's hand getting corrupted.
Yeah, good call. That is very similar, and again, really simple, but just takes
Yeah,
forever
I
because
love Scotty's like, I'm getting out of here. 2 minutes later, help!
yeah, well, I almost got off screen to death. Take my word for it. The woods attacked me, and Scotty's just out of commission for the rest of the movie.
Scotty's dead, Jim. I love that they made Linda a Deadite and she doesn't do anything but sit there and cackle.
Yeah, she's just a jerk.
Like this is kind of like the preamble to Evil Dead 2 Deadites, and I'll go on
Hmm.
where they just want to screw with people.
Yeah, they're just having a good time. They're having fun. I don't want to die, Ash. You're not gonna leave me, Ash, like I left you, right? And every time I see
God.
those contact lenses, I cringe because I know how painful those were, and that you couldn't see anything out of them.
No, yeah, I know that. And they were only supposed to wear them for like 15 minutes at a time, but they have to wear them for hours.
Yep, that's fine. It was with it.
I'm sure they had no long lasting damage from that.
That is true.
All right, 53 minutes in, and I guess pay free trial to AMC Plus, even though I have AMC Plus on Amazon.
Streaming services. Can can you be better?
Do the only thing I can say is do we have to do better.
Yep. I love the scene when Ash just slaps her.
Luckily, Evil Dead 2013 appears to be on Max,
Oh, cool.
but I will be watching that in 4K.
Yeah. Shooter Ash.
I
She's
can't
not your
blame
girlfriend
Ash.
anymore.
I would also be going insane if I had to listen to that.
Yep.
Officially watching the same movie. Finally.
And yeah, this is because did she already say the we're gonna get you not another peep? Um,
I think so.
because they actually, unless it pops up later, but they did film a scene like that in 2013. It's in one of the trailers, and then I don't think it made the cut. I don't think that's actually in the movie, but that is a callback that they filmed but didn't stick with.
I wonder if that's in that like director's cut or unrated cut they released years later.
I've never seen that unrated cut. I think it's only like a minute or two longer, so like
I have
whatever.
not seen
But
it either, but
I'll check it out at some point.
Scream Factory put it on their 4K.
Oh, cool. That's good. Hey, look,
No, it's
Linda's
just
all
really
right.
weird because they released that like a decade later, and I was like, I like that movie, but is
Why?
anybody asking for this?
Yeah, it was weird.
And Scotty's just laying there dead on the couch.
He's fine.
I like Evil Dead 2
Cool.
better, pretty much the same movie, just more fun. Plus, not Scotty. Yeah, I mean, general consensus: Evil Dead 2 is the best one, but I love this
Yeah, for
movie.
sure. I do think it's really cool that we bring some of these characters back, like Scotty, for the video game. And, because those are characters who get kind of left behind in this franchise and we really call back to. Astro's Evil Dead at least brought Cheryl back and did something really cool with her. But it's just neat that in that game, like, oh, Scotty's there and he's like a really
I mean,
popular character to play as.
Scotty or Evil Dead also brought back that one guy whose name I don't remember, Annie's boyfriend. That's in
Yeah.
it for
Does
like
anyone play as Annie's boyfriend?
I played him once. We
Oh,
should play that
now
again.
we're at.
We should play that again soon.
Yeah,
Why
for
are you
sure.
torturing me like this? Why?
Why?
Oh my god, just shoot her, please. If I get charged for this AMC account, I'm suing Haven of Horror. Uh, Robert will take that. Oh, here it is.
These Deadites, I'm just gonna say it. they're kind of assholes.
They
Like, just
code.
saying,
That's my problem. Is they don't have a code.
the dishonesty is the real problem.
The worst part is the hypocrisy. So as a kid, I was never the like outdoorsy. Like I didn't mind going outdoors, but I didn't really like like laying down in leaves and like jumping around in leaves. So that would be hell. Just have to like writhe around in the leaves for however many shots.
That's the real terror.
Yeah,
And I don't know why Ash trying to give Scotty water is funny.
this is supposed
He's
to
a
be kind of an
corpse, dude.
Exorcist callback. Her and the white, naughty, and all fucked up. That's probably there's an
Yeah.
exorcist in this movie.
Mhm.
This being
Yeah, it's like
burning a dead body. Yeah.
yeah, it's like Exorcist, Night of Living Dead, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's like all those kind of blended together to make something new.
Back when he used to do that.
Yeah.
Now it's just, oh, I like that movie. I'll do my version. But it's not as interesting. You stabbed me.
This is such a this is a perfect movie that rides that line where a lot of people who see this, like, you can just get so much variety in reactions. You can get screams, you can get laughter, but it's all genuine and fits together, and something that Raimi would really lean into with the second one, which is deliberately campy. Um, there is a bit of so bad it's good here, but again, it's just part of the charm and the entertainment value. But there's also really effective scary moments and really cool camera work. This isn't just a I'm laughing at it because it sucks. It's like no, it's everything. Like there's just so many emotions you experience while watching this.
Yeah, and the difference between this and something that, because you mentioned so bad, so good, or so bad, it's good. The modern day so bad, it's good is kind of like Sharknado. The difference
Yeah,
between that and this, these people aren't trying to be bad, they're just making a movie. Sharknado is
right.
trying to be stupid, and that loses some of the charm. Like,
I agree.
sincere, just give me a sincere attempt, please.
Oh yeah, there is no more sincere movie than this one.
I don't care how dumb the premise is. I have been made to love a movie about zombie beavers. I will be won over. I don't know if you've seen that, but that movie's actually really funny.
This shot's really cool. Him
Scotty's just
dragging her body out.
laying there.
And at the end, we just hold on Cheryl, just watching. And this is where you get some of that early Sam Raimi montage, just the quicker cuts to all these little and close ups to all these things he's doing when he's tying up Linda, going for the chainsaw. Like that sound effect makes me laugh every time with and it's just the same thing over and over again with the chains.
Yeah. Kyle says he'd argue that Army of Darkness is trying to be stupid, but they do it so right, it's ridiculous. Right, because there's never
That's trying to be a comedy.
that's trying to be a comedy, and it's not trying to be like, oh, you're here for bad acting and this. No, you're here for the wacky antics and Bruce Campbell. It's still a
And
sincere movie, whereas something like Sharknado uh, never comes off as sincere to me.
right. And the battle, at least for their budget, is still kind of epic. Like you get stop motion, you get
Hey,
costumes, you get puppets, you get all this stuff.
that
There's
that
that there's effort.
that final battle in Army of Darkness is better than all three battles in Lord of the Rings.
They're on par. I'd say they're on par. Although this scene, it's funny because we'll call back to it in the next one. But it's always disappointing every time I watch this one, where it's our big moment with the chainsaw, and then he doesn't use it, and it goes away for the rest of the movie. It's like, oh,
Robert, he was in the
probably.
work shed.
And to my understanding, he's actually standing there with a powered on chainsaw holding it above her body. And thank
I
God,
would be so
like,
nervous.
Jesus, to my understanding. This was not the safest production.
That's
In
like, and I'll bring
history.
this up with when we get to it. But in the original Dawn of the Dead, there's that scene where he's like playing tennis, and the camera follows the ball as it goes down. And rumor has it, I don't know if this is true, but the ball lands beside a corpse. Rumor has it that's a real corpse.
That's cool. I don't know if I believe that, but it's a cool story.
I believed it when I was younger, but now as I'm older, I'm like, I don't know if they did that.
Well, the one everyone knows is that there's real skeletons in the pool in Poltergeist, and like I don't know if that's real either. I've heard it a million times, but I still don't know if there's any
No, the only one
legitimacy
that
to
I
that.
know of that I know is real is that's a real snake in Friday the 13th.
Yeah, and that one sucks. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that, that's unfortunate. But but what I was gonna say earlier with the chainsaw, it's really cool that we call back to it in Evil Dead 2 when he has Linda's head and he's going to destroy it, but then he can't. But then he musters up the courage and actually does it. And you get that amazing shot of his shadow, like
Yeah.
just hacking up her head and
Okay.
blood's going everywhere. It's so good. It's like, yeah, here's what we couldn't do in the first one. Now we get to actually do it.
Oh yeah, they deserved that poor. They murdered that poor snake. Snake, he deserved better.
I am legit sad about that because that was actually a guy's like pet snake they got
Oh,
permission to use in the movie. Yeah, and then they just fucking killed it on camera. And he was really
that's
upset about it.
that's a
And I
dick
don't like
move.
snakes, but that's still right. Like I don't even like snakes, but I'm still annoyed about that. It's the one scene of the movie. I'm like, you could cut that out. I don't. You can just cut
Why?
that out of there and it'd be fine.
Why did you do that?
I don't know.
I've
I
always been
maybe
indifferent to them killing it, but I didn't realize that was somebody's pet.
yeah.
No, fuck you, Sean Cunningham.
And I don't know the whole story. Like there could have been a miscommunication thing, or whatever. The guy probably had more than one snake. Like I don't know if it was his only pet snake, but it's still annoying.
Is Friday the 13th the only franchise where the creator is like the worst part of the franchise? Because the two
um,
movies that he are involved in are in the bottom tier of the franchise.
I mean, at one point people would have said George Lucas, but that's a different conversation.
But that's a different guy. I showed my
um,
buddy that whole skit after we finished T2, and I was dying.
that's so good. Oh God, that franchise.
But the John Connor in Terminator 3 isn't the John Connor that was in Terminator 2, but he's in Terminator Salvation.
Uh,
That could have been their
uh,
whole review, and I would have been fine with it.
Me too. This scene's one of my favorite funny moments when he's just hitting Linda with that big beam. It
Yeah,
looks so goofy. And then this is one of the big scenes that they reshoot in Evil Dead 2 where he decapitates her with the shovel. It's really cool,
yeah,
but
they condense all of
Linda
that to this. Yeah,
they
Ty was
do.
just
And
backing you up on the whole thing. You guys taught me something today. I did not know about that. They don't,
oh okay.
as far as I'm
Yeah,
aware, they
it
don't even
sucks.
mention that in that documentary.
Yeah. But
Yeah, yeah, I sent you that too. Because you could just do that same skit for Halloween.
uh also we were talking over it, but that scene when Linda's scratching at his leg, that makes me cringe now because the like appliance or makeup he had afterwards like actually kind of ripped off some of his skin, and he had
Mm-hmm.
just pus and shit pouring out. Like that was one of
He
Campbell's
talked
big injuries.
he talked a lot in the his biography because it was so cold. All of that fake blood and corn syrup would just like stick to them,
Yeah.
and like their
Ugh.
clothes would be brick bats.
Oh god. Didn't he break his ankle or something? I feel like that's the thing I heard.
Yes, that's why he's limping in some shots.
Okay, because if I recall the story correctly, there was like this really difficult scene. It might have been the Linda scene outside that took them forever to finish, and they finally finished it. And he did like a little victory skip in the air, and his foot landed on just like a sheet of ice on the ground and just shattered his ankle.
Ooh.
If I recall the story correctly, but yeah, there were so many injuries during the making of this picture.
Yeah, and you can tell because like, and then you can tell just because most of these people did come back and do more stuff.
Yeah.
Kyle says you're not recalling this. Never mind, he's just joking. Oh my god! It's someone who
This
looks
is
vaguely like Linda from Cheryl.
and again, the
Holy
energy is just
shit!
so good. Like that shot of Bruce jumping over the camera. Like this is when the energy really picks up.
Yeah. No, this movie's never
Back door.
boring.
No, not at all.
Although I do still like sometimes turn away a little bit during the end with the stop motion. It's gross.
Ah, it's great. I
It's
love
so good, but it's also like, oh no, sorry, it's not the stop motion. It's the like I don't know what it is, but like the rotten oatmeal or whatever that
Oh
starts
yeah,
coming
like the
out.
mashed potatoes
Oh,
and bugs. Ah, it's glorious.
Kyle says when he watches these movies, he just reminded of his ex girlfriends. The girls
No.
in this movie just wear less makeup. Got him.
And we were talking about Campbell's acting earlier. I think his best stuff in the movie is in the third act when he's being tortured and scared and chased around. Like that, there is a lot of just that good Evil Dead 2 proto stuff here, right?
Yeah.
I actually think he's pretty good in some of these scenes. The terror is real.
No, and you get some stuff that is doesn't come back for two, like the movie projector and the light bulb with the
I
blood
love
in
that
it.
scene. Yeah. And then it's scenes like that where I'm like, wait, was that Evil Dead 1 or Evil Dead 2? There's a bunch of moments like that. And then after versus Evil Dead, they're like, it's all canon. It all counts.
Who cares?
It all happened.
Don't tell me it didn't happen. I saw it happen. Oh my god. The house is bleeding.
That doesn't make sense. Walls don't have blood in them.
Kyle, Mr. Campbell's soup said these movies probably ruined his career because he could never get out of its shadow. Shut up, Linda.
It is cool though, even though they didn't have particularly notable careers, that all those other people eventually did kind of stick with this franchise for like conventions, behind the scenes, and stuff. They've all owned it, and none of them are like, "I'm gonna fuck that movie. I should have never done it." Like you see with some other actors in some other horror films.
Mhm. Kyle, your house doesn't bleed. What's wrong with my house? I don't know, but you should probably get the fuck out of there.
And the walls will ooze green slime. Oh wait, they always do that. But one of these shots around here is in Nightmare on Elm Street when Nancy's watching it on the television,
I
and
love
that's
Raimi
my
just
always.
throws the same shitty car in every movie he makes, even Doctor Strange. What a random calling. Yeah,
He
that's
loves
his
that
like.
car.
Yeah,
It's the
that's his.
classic.
That's the Delta.
Trust me, Kyle. No one hates that car more than Bruce Campbell. He has actively tried to destroy it many times.
I love that it showed back up in Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
Because
no, it's in every movie.
it's not in Drag Me to Hell. I don't think.
I think it's in like the parking garage or something. It's really brief, but it is in there somewhere.
That movie's also weird
Um,
because it's one of the few ones that I can think of where Bruce isn't in it either.
that's true. Yeah, I don't think he has a cameo in that. But no, you've seen The Quick and the Dead, right? Raimi's Western movie.
Yeah, no, that movie's awesome.
That movie is awesome. And what Raimi did is he took the Delta apart and built a wagon around the frame so he could say that the Delta is in the movie.
Didn't he throw the car in because it was like the first car he owned with him in this movie, so he just kept it as a callback? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that. Like, yeah, just typical first
Because
car,
it's
first love
Ash's
type of
car,
thing.
it's Uncle Ben's car, it's
Yeah.
a wagon in the Quick and the Dead. In Doctor Strange, it's in the street when the big monster attacks America and the monster
Mhm.
throws the out, splits it in half.
And to be fair, there might be some movies in the 90s where it doesn't appear.
That's the scene
Uh,
that's she's watching on TV.
mhm.
It's the big zoom in when he turns around.
And which makes sense because it's New Line Cinema. They own the rights to this, so of course they had it on the TV. Don't know why I always forget that.
Well, and Wes got lucky with that because I mean that was definitely a Wes Craven choice.
Mhm. And then here we get the mirror gag, which we kind of call back to in the second one, but we do something different with it.
Yeah.
And then
I still don't know
Doctor
how they
Strange
did
2.
this.
Oh, that shot's great. And then Doctor Strange 2 does a much more direct callback to that gag. Remember with the mirror and the water
Yeah,
with Wanda? Yeah, it's good stuff.
the movie was a good motion picture.
I agree. Come on, Ash. Do something. Man
Come
up.
on, do something! Just like poking him with a stick. The best call ever to a real movie is Halloween 3, season of which people watching Halloween 1 during the movie marathon. Genius. Yes.
Why do people say Michael isn't in that movie? He's right there. He shows up twice.
No, this is
Nope.
legitimately cool. Like he legitimately looks terrified.
We
He's
love a
probably
good
also
Bruce
freezing.
Campbell panic shot. Yeah.
Probably helps with the shivering.
Uh, Granted, no, I mentioned earlier about how much Bruce Campbell hates that car. I don't know if he hates that car as much as he hates the piece of jewelry that Ash gives to Linda. That horrible, ugly, cheap jewelry that he can't stand.
I was like on Halloween 3, a like 50-year-old man bangs a 20-year-old model up. There's no reason to. They just bang and move on.
Yeah, eh, it's the 80s. I guess Tom Adkins was a sex symbol? Question mark.
John
He is in
Carpenter
John
thinks
Carpenter
he
movies.
is. I wonder what John Carpenter thinks of this movie. I feel like he'd like it.
Probably.
Kyle, they bring back that deadite knife in the show. Yeah, no, the daggers.
And I think the show one looks more like this one than the Evil Dead 2 one.
I mean, the Evil Dead 2 one is absurd. It's not a dagger, it's like a spine.
It's not even sharp.
Somebody in the special effects crew went, make this look better, and then they didn't.
That's one of those shots that we call back to in the show. That's really cool of Scotty sitting up and he's all deadite possessed. Cool stuff.
And that, if you're a wrestling fan, that is the Undertaker's signature. Like, oh shit, it's not over. Where he was
Yeah.
set up.
Nice. This scene is so gross.
It was until I got old enough to realize, wait a minute, that's just paint. I like that he starts like the uh, he like popped a cork like a keg for blood.
It's so disgusting. Ash, you're supposed to say work shed.
Wrestling is dumb. I paid $60 for the WWE game and haven't touched it, so I'm dumb. Ah, WWE 2K24 is so good. I keep trying to get Robert to start a wrestling podcast, but he's a chicken.
That is true. And Kyle, if you want to hear more of our thoughts on Halloween 3, we
We
did
did a
commentary on it,
commentary.
if you weren't there.
This I think is much more gross, where he's like just chewing on his leg.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And like I said, it's not even much of a fight. It's just Bruce Campbell getting tortured for 10 minutes.
yeah.
And
No,
I
this
meant
looks painful, where she's just like wailing on him with that fire poker.
great stuff. And we also talked over it, but there's a gag when he shoots the side of her mouth and like blood
Yeah.
squirts out of her cheek. Like that's a good effect. Um, and I mentioned this during the Evil Dead 2 commentary, but the reason for that shitty necklace and why it's like a little magnifying glass thing is the original plan was like the sun was supposed to be coming up and the sunlight was coming through the window, and then Ash would hold up the necklace to like refract it, and that's how he'd burn the book and defeat them. And it was just a shot that just didn't work. Like they couldn't get the effects or the lighting or whatever, and they just abandoned it. And they're like, what if he just throws it in the fire? So they kind of still try to repurpose that by having him use it like a lasso to drag the book toward him, so he could just chuck it in the fire. So it's fine.
Yeah, you and I are pretty close in thought of Halloween 3. I would say.
I like Halloween 3.
Yeah. I do talk a lot. Robert and I stayed up to like 2 my time just talking about Harry Potter.
And we didn't record it. What's wrong with us?
I don't know. Oh my god.
It's so clunky, but I love it. I like the stop motion like superimposed onto the regular footage. Like doesn't match perfectly, but it still looks cool.
Yeah.
Like when the book's face opens up and the tongue comes out, it's very goofy, and we do a lot of stuff like that in the show.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna watch Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone today. And then I looked at 6 and I was like, oh, that's a 2.5 hour movie. I'm not gonna have time. Yeah, Kyle loves Harry Potter. Are you gonna do a Christmas movie commentary? Yeah, we've talked about a few.
Oh yeah, we've got plenty of Christmas options. No shortage of Christmas horror.
Yeah, Kyle, I'm with you. Says I like stop motion physical effects way more than CGI and shit, especially in horror. Horror's
Hmm.
just been the biggest casualty of the CGI craze.
And that's a big compliment we're going to be giving the remake of this when we do the commentary on it in a minute, is the lack of CGI. They did most of it practically.
Um, so I love that this is not the way it works in any of the other movies in this franchise.
Nope. But it's still canon
Oh,
to the show. I love though, like when the bodies burst open and like the big demon hands come out. It's great stuff.
yeah. I don't like the mashed potatoes.
It's so gross.
Join us. Black Christmas is yeah, you totally saw that other girl in half with a chainsaw in real life. Of course. You haven't seen that other
Hmm?
actress after that movie, have you?
Nope. It's all about the art.
And then Black Christmas, yeah, we're definitely going to be doing that one way or another because that's also on this giant list of original and remakes that we're doing.
Ash, you've seen better days.
I love this shot
This was
though,
rough.
just like the blood and
Looks great.
It kind of
Another
reminds me
thing,
of the final shot of Ready or Not.
yeah, just all covered in blood. It's awesome. Another thing I want to mention in the commentary that Bruce Campbell talks about, like this was such an exhausting, painful shoot that when it was all finally done, this was like his Vietnam, where when he went home, he slept on the floor for like 2 months and grew out a spear. And his mom's like, son, why aren't you sleeping in the bed? And he's like, we didn't sleep in beds there. I can't go back. Like
Would
this
y'all
scarred
do?
him for a while.
Would y'all do Violent Night? It's not really horror, but bloody action. Chris. Probably not, because that's not a horror movie. That's an action.
Yeah,
The first thing we're doing
but
though is Anna and the Apocalypse, because this bastard over here hasn't seen it yet.
that is true. That one I will probably watch ahead of time though, just because I want to take in the music and stuff.
That's funny.
Um,
Always
but
got
I'm
to
looking
spoil
forward
the
to
fun.
it.
This is one of my favorite endings in just movie.
It's a good bad ending. It's like, why is that? Oh no, why is that leaf on the ground out of focus? Oh my god.
I think that's what I like about Sam Raimi is like he's like me that likes uh, the bad endings. Anna and the
Mm.
Apocalypse.
But I think Raimi does a particular type of bad ending that for me is rarely like a cheat
It always
or
feels earned,
an unnecessary
although
fuck you. It always friends. And the Evil Dead 2 one, like it
it's
rides
more
that
bad
line
for
of
the
yeah, it's a bad ending.
protagonist.
It's bad for him. It's also a joke. Like it's also funny.
Yeah. The
Like
only
it's fun.
one where I like the ending, but I question if it's earned, is Drag Me to Hell. Because I don't think
I
that
like
woman
that bit.
did. I don't think that woman did anything wrong.
uh, we might cover that one day on the channel. No, I think that ending's great.
No, it's a great ending, but I was like, I don't know if she deserved that.
To be fair, that movie opens with a literal child getting dragged to hell. And I don't know if he deserves that either. So it establishes the stakes and what can happen in that universe.
Kyle, another ambiguous ending. So, what did happen to Ash? Did he live? Did he die? Is he still hot enough to sleep with? We'll never know. We
We'll never
won't.
know.